So I've never really done too many things like this before, so this will be exciting. So I'm going to talk a little bit from Proverbs because I don't know, God really laid it on my heart lately this month, and I just really been interested in the idea of wisdom and all that it brings and what it gives. So to me, the definition of wisdom is knowing the difference between right and wrong. It's an aspect that came in after Adam and Eve ate from the fruit of knowledge of good and evil. Because before evil and sin came into the world, everyone was perfectly wise and just. There was no need to know the difference between good and wrong because there was no wrong at that time. It was just good. There's no reason for the book of Proverbs because mankind was created to have a holy fear of God. And if people had a holy fear of God, then they wouldn't be afraid of consequences that happen if they chose evil and made an unwise decision. I think to me that's why Satan was the first one to, sin, because he lost that holy fear of God when he decided that he could beat God, and that he didn't need he wasn't afraid of the consequences that would happen. He just, I don't know, I just think that's why he was the first one to sin. It just seems interesting that the minute someone loses that holy fear of God, they also lose wisdom and make a wrong choice. And that from that decision, it started almost a ripple effect that started to spread through a third of the angels, causing them to believe that they were safe from God's wrath. And if they just followed Satan, then there's a chance that they could dodge hell and not have to worry about that again, thinking that they were better than God and didn't have to fear God anymore, and again losing that sense of wisdom. And that bled into mankind. And now people don't fear God at all, and instead make a mockery out of him and worship stones or jewels, which is like a slap in the face in God's eyes. The ones who do follow God, they sin and say, God can excuse this crime. I only did it once. Proverbs 9:10 says, fear of the Lord is the foundation of wisdom. Knowledge of the Holy One results in good judgment. It's the fear of God is everything that wisdom is built on. It's what I've really found through reading Proverbs. After all of this, Solomon had to write a book of Proverbs, a book that teaches things like obeying your parents. Proverbs 1:8. My child, listen when your father corrects you. Don't neglect your mother's instruction, or choosing wise friends. Proverbs 1:11-19. They may say, come and join us. Let's hide and kill someone just for fun. Let's ambush the innocent. Let's swallow them alive like a grave. Let's swallow them whole like those who go down to the pit of death. Think of the great things we'll get. We'll find our houses with all the stuff we take. Come, throw in your lot with us. We'll all share the loot. My child, don't go along with them. Stay far away from their paths. Don't rush to commit evil deeds. They hurry to commit murder. If a bird sees a trap being set, it knows to stay away. But these people set an ambush for themselves. They're trying to get themselves killed. It's just all these things are just things that people, it seems like they should know, but they lose when they lose a holy fear of God. It just seems like you lose wisdom when you stop following God and you start forgetting things like just simple things like obeying your parents. Proverbs 1:7 says, fear of the Lord is the foundation of true knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and discipline. Discipline, it seems to me, is the other half of the spectrum. Without discipline, there is no point for being wise. For me, when I was a kid, I would often make unwise decisions when it came to treating my brother. I remember one time I was at home, and my brother, we had these little Rubbermaid bins that were basically, there was like a label on it, and it would have this kid who would sit in a Rubbermaid, and it would be like, don't put your brother in a Rubbermaid, basically. And me, I was like, I'm gonna test this theory. So I put, my brother's name is Boaz, and I put him in the Rubbermaid, and he's like, Zach, what about the label? I'm like, yeah, Boaz, I'll get the lid off quick. So then I almost put it on, And my dad thankfully came, and I got pretty disciplined for that one because, it was pretty scary for Boaz. He was pretty upset about that whole thing. But, the point is that without discipline, Boaz might have died in there. And without things like guilt or punishment, I probably would have done it to maybe my older sister and might have killed her too. This is why discipline is so important, because without it, people could choose right and wrong and get the same satisfaction from both. The world would probably crumble. Be probably a lot of anarchy. Which leads to my first point. We need to reward and consequence people depending on what kind of choice they choose to make. Proverbs 13:24 says, those who spare the rod of discipline hate their children. Those who love their children care enough to discipline them. It's a verse that really shows that, when people do wrong, you got to discipline. You got to make sure that people really understand the difference between choosing the right path and choosing the wrong path. We need people who can really choose to make an effort to make sure that people understand when they make a wrong decision and an unwise decision and a wise decision. The next point is, as Christians, we need to accept correction graciously and thankfully. Proverbs 19:27 says, if you stop listening to instruction, my child, you will turn your back on knowledge. Or 12:1 also says, to learn, you must love discipline. It is stupid to hate correction. Again, it's one of those things that it really points out that, when someone comes and they correct you and they try to make an effort to tell you that you're on the one wise path, you got to make sure that you, choose the right path. That's something that's really been important in my life. There was one verse I was reading and I saw it, I couldn't find it, but it talks about how if you try to correct a mocker, they'll mock you, and that's something in my life I've really struggled in with. When someone has tried to correct me, I've always looked at them and maybe made fun of them or something like that, and told them that like who are you to correct me or whatever. But that's such an unwise thing to do in my life that I really got to work on, because it's unwise when someone's really trying to make an effort to help you out and make you choose the right path. You really got to make sure that you, follow it. That's something that really point out to me. And my last point would be, wisdom is there, and we really got to seek it. We really got to find it. Wisdom is there, calling out in the streets. All you have to do, is listen for it. Proverbs 1:20-23 says, wisdom shouts in the streets. She cries out in the public square. She calls to the crowds among the main street, to those gathered in front of the city gates. How long, you simpletons, will you insist on being simple-minded? How long will you mockers relish your mocking? How long will you fools hate knowledge? It's another thing that just says it's right there. Come and listen to my counsel. I'll share my heart with you and make you wise. It seems then those verses, wisdom is so easy to find. You just gotta look for it. So that's what I have. Thanks.